We all know our next speaker as a woman who is courageously leading our organization through the most unprecedented challenges of our lifetimes. She began her term of office in a pandemic. She wanted to hug our members, but she couldn't. Yet the pandemic didn't stop her from boldly leading us, the largest labor union in the country. She led us through the election of a pro-public education administration, President Biden, who respects all educators, a First Lady who is an educator, and a Secretary of Education who has real experience in public education. Becky is masterfully leading our team through our first all-virtual representative assembly, where she has set high goals to debate issues and make policy recommendations that benefit our students and the educators who work with our students every day. Under the president's leadership, a return to normal is not good enough. She encourages us to move the bar up and to set higher goals so that we can reach new heights. While guiding us through the myriad of transitions that have occurred in our country, our Becky has weathered personal loss with her shoulders back and her face to the wind, grounded in faith and fortitude. Her strength and her drive are admirable and inspiring. Allow me to share a few more things that I've learned about our president. Did you know that Becky Pringle, our NEA president, was Rebecca Sue when her dad wanted to get her attention, and she's Nana B to her grandchildren. We know that Becky is indeed an extrovert, but did you know that she also enjoys going for quiet, reflective walks in the park near her home? Did you know that Becky started her teaching career in Pennsylvania? First in Philly, and then she moved to Harrisburg. And I am sure you all know that she is an unapologetic Eagles fan. Sorry, Noel. And she bought out all of the fan gear, all of it, at the 2018 Super Bowl. Did you know that? And did you know that President Becky is still, at her core, a middle school science teacher who loves to experiment and doesn't hesitate to try a new idea. And if it doesn't work, she makes everyone dissect the reasons why and use the lessons as learnings. Trust me on that one. And what we all know is that Becky is an extraordinary leader with drive, passion, and vision, a leader who works tirelessly into the night. You only need to be in Becky's presence for a few minutes to be inspired to do more, to learn more, and to be more. She believes deeply in the brilliance of all of our students and the collective power of our 3 million members. I am honored to call Becky Pringle my ride or die colleague and my friend. Please join me, delegates, in welcoming to the virtual stage our NEA president, Becky Pringle.
Change is coming. Oh, thank you, my friend. I will not allow the light of my life to be determined by the darkness around me. For 28 years, Sojourner Truth lived as an enslaved woman, as the property of another human. Yet I have no doubt that this suffragette and abolitionist was guided by a bright light shining from within. She centered herself in her humanity and her purpose, her truth. Sojourner gathered the determination to continue resisting and fighting for what she knew was right. She represents the best of humanity. NEA, so too do you. There is nothing I would love more than to be able to look into your eyes and tell you what's in my very full heart. To be in your presence to express the pride and gratitude and power I feel when I think about what you've done since March 16th, 2020. The date when we were locked into our COVID corners, when our world was shaken by fear and uncertainty, when we were torn from what we knew about professional practice and how to organize and advocate, how we found community. We did what we do. As proud professionals, as courageous racial and social justice activists, as strong unionists always do. We allowed our inner light, our purpose, and our passion to guide us. We fought through the confusion and chaos, through the echo chamber of vitriolic voices and pompous politicians. We found our way back to our purpose. We relied on our imagination and our ingenuity. We leaned into our hopeful spirits and our unwavering determination to design new strategies to connect with our students and our families. We created innovative ways to teach and support each other, to collaborate with anyone who could help us meet our babies' basic needs: decent meals and good health care, affordable housing, and to ensure our students continue to learn and to grow and to thrive. Even now, I marvel at how you did it all. As a fellow educator, I knew so many of the miracles you made happen were born out of your ability to imagine our possibilities. As educators, it's one of our many superpowers: imagination. We have the ability to create in our minds novel ideas and images, concepts of something that doesn't yet exist, experiences that have not yet been explored, exciting adventures we haven't yet had. That's what you did last year. No question. The circumstances were more challenging than most of us have ever experienced in our professional or personal lives. The anxiety, the pain, the exhaustion, they were all very real. I was blown away by your courage and creativity and your caring, but I wasn't surprised. It's who you are. It's who we are. We lead with love, teach and learn from a place of deep conviction and powerful purpose. You grounded yourself in that. And it became your reservoir of this boundless energy that you tapped into over and over and over again. No matter the school I visited or the Zoom meeting I joined, whenever 2 or more educators were gathered, there was light. Light is what I saw in the eyes of Lisa Smith and Jessica Nanny and Ashley Zeberline. Educators I met at the Baltimore Highlands Elementary Community School just a few weeks ago. Along with their colleagues, they were partnering with parents and families and community organizers. They all were coming together to transform student learning and make every student successful by assessing first the community's unique needs, and then by harnessing the community's unique assets. Working together, these partners have created programs that boost career and college awareness for their students. They're helping parents through programs stressing literacy and English fluency. They actually reimagined their after-school and summer programs to meet the different needs their students have, with a focus on integrating and accelerating academic and social and emotional learning. And when I asked them what they were doing about the students who weren't showing up, this is what they said. Becky, we put together a diverse group of teachers and parents, social workers and paraprofessionals, school bus drivers, administrators, and community leaders. They're all knocking on doors and making phone calls. We're providing assistance to families that need it. We're doing anything and everything we can because we're not going to let any of our kids fall through the cracks. And then they said, Becky, we're better than that. As I listened to them describe what they've been doing, I saw that light in their eyes, all of them who were playing this vital role in the success of their students. I saw their smiles beneath their masks. Their energy was palpable as they talked about what they had accomplished with their students this year in a pandemic. They talked about the new things they had learned from their colleagues. They shared their dreams for next year. They dreamed of welcoming all of their students back to a learning space that was familiar yet different because of all that they had first imagined and now they had made become real. What I saw in Baltimore County is but one sampling of the inspired work done by NEA members all across this nation. These islands of excellence provide us with the evidence that community schools and labor management collaboration are the keys to ensuring that when we say every student, we mean every student, everyone. That's why the NEA is investing in our members. And I will use my bully pulpit and your collective power to fuel our movement to transform public education in this country. Let me tell you, experiencing that joy and light that I saw in our members, it took me back. It took me way back. The year was 1965. Rescue Me was at the top of the music charts. I am a 10-year-old teacher, forcing my students, who were my sisters, of course, to play school on the front steps of our North Philly row home. Fast forward, and the things that I imagined standing on those steps have materialized into reality. I am now an 8th grade teacher, focusing on planning experiential lessons for my students. Those students are learning about the laws of motion as they bank a shot with a Nerf basketball off the rim hanging from my door. I'm coaching my cheerleaders to perfect their routine with precision and pizzazz to Prince belting out When Doves Cry. Don't make me do a cheerleading move now. Eventually, I began to imagine doing more for my union. From my local presidency until now, throughout my entire leadership journey, I centered myself in purpose and passion, remained inspired by my students and my members and my community, and I believed in the possibilities that our collective imaginations and actions could make real. What I never imagined is that we'd be shaken by a worldwide pandemic, that I would take office after a virtual RA and accept my new position with a speech given from my living room. I never imagined campaigning for the most important presidential election in the history of our country virtually, or generating a crescendo of honking horns at a drive-in rallies with Dr. Jill, our First Lady and fellow NEA member. What I didn't imagine those many years ago was standing before you as president of the largest labor union in this country, of having the honor and the profound responsibility of harnessing the power and potential of 3 million members and millions of other allies and supporters. I did not imagine that we would be here in this critical moment with the opportunity to lead and do the work to create an education system that embraces, prepares, loves, nourishes the talent and the possibilities and the dreams of 65 million students. But here we are, NEA. Here we are. We not only made it through a year of fear and loss, anxiety and exhaustion, uncertainty and grief, anger and discouragement. We made it through a year where we continued to experience what we love the most. The joy of learning, the sparkle in the eyes of our students, even through Zoom boxes, as they grasped a new concept or created a beautiful work of art. We made it through a year where we collaborated with our colleagues, creating new ways to reach our students. We took care of our neighbors and our friends and our families. We provided a listening ear, a needed meal, a comforting word. We didn't just survive this year. We learned, we grew, we questioned, we answered. We didn't just make it through. We lifted up our voices and we took action in ways that demonstrated our individual and collective power. So our fear became courage. Our anxiety eased its way into calm. Our exhaustion revealed our resilience. Anger became determination. Uncertainty led the way to possibility. Discouragement pointed the way to hope. And with that hope came the plausibility of the possible. What's possible is going beyond educator voice to positioning ourselves as education professionals who have the authority and the power to make the decisions that will transform public education in this country. What's possible is increasing and harnessing the collective power of our union of 3 million members and 51 state affiliates, 14,000 local affiliates, and millions of members in every congressional district. Everyone. What's possible is using that power to educate and prepare our students to be the leaders of a just society, one that realizes and espouses the values of this country, a society that has wrestled with the sins of its past and emerged with an understanding that racial and social justice is education justice, that if this society is to survive, if this grand experiment in democracy is to succeed, if the inhabitants of our nation are to prosper, we must continuously do the work to challenge ourselves and others, to dismantle the racist, interconnected systems and the economic injustices that have perpetuated systemic inequities. We must bring into existence systems that foster justice and fairness and equality and freedom. We've done a lot of difficult, inspirational, and truly impactful work this year. From electing President Biden, a true friend of educators and their unions, to electing a new Senate, to securing historic investments in our schools, to winning court and legislative battles against attacks on our students' rights to safe and equitable schools, our rights as educators to organize, our right to exist as a union. NEA, we have fought for our democracy. But I need you to hear me. We're not done yet. So in this moment, as we reflect on the obvious challenges and the often hidden or yet to be discovered opportunities, we must continue to imagine what's possible. Yes, take a moment to breathe. That you must do. And then we must get back to work. The vision I laid out to guide that work is that we, the NEA, will lead a movement that unites not just our members, but this entire nation to reclaim public education as a common good and then transform it into something it was never designed to be. A racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares every student, everyone, to succeed in a diverse and interdependent world, to be those leaders of a just society. Our compelling articulation of the kind of shared responsibility it will require to ensure all students, all educators, all schools are excelling and everyone knows it, must guide the policies and practices and systems at every level of this government and every level of our association. I like to think of ideas as potential energy. They're really quite wonderful. But nothing will happen until we risk putting them into action. Those are the words of one of my heroes, astronaut Dr. Mae Jemison, who told me that her mother, a public school teacher, always pushed her to first imagine the what and then plan the how. That's what drove Dr. Jemison to imagine how she could and then determine how she would become the first Black woman to travel into space. And when Dr. Jemison, during a cherished conversation, gave me a glimpse into her world and told me of her dream of enabling human travel beyond our solar system within the next century, wow. She immediately talked to me about the how, where she was leading the 100-year Starship project with lots of other brilliant people who are working to make it so. So NEA, I need you to imagine that system of shared responsibility where every student is supported in and prepared for their next journey, their next grade, their next level, their career, college, civic responsibility, leadership, so they can fulfill their full potential as empowered humans, constructive members of their communities, productive participants in our economy, and engaged citizens of not only the United States, but of this world. I want you to imagine a system. Imagine a system that's premised on the respect for us as professionals, where every educator is supported in and continuously prepared for professional excellence throughout their entire career continuum. A profession that fosters collective autonomy and collaborative practice, advancing and leading their professions with professional authority and professional compensation. NEA, challenge yourselves to imagine the system described by John Dewey, where the conception of schools as a social center is born out of our entire democratic movement. So, every school is a community school. because it is supported by parents and families, community businesses, organizations, their local, state, and national governments continuously invest in them and supports them. Every single school reflects the highest aspirations of their communities and contributes to its success. So now that we have imagined the possibilities, the questions we must ask ourselves are these. What is the work in making that aspirational vision a reality? What is your role? What is our responsibility as proud educators and strong unionists, as courageous social and racial justice leaders, to unite our members and this nation to fulfill that promise of public education? And then finally, NEA, the most important question I have for you is this: what are you prepared to do? What are you prepared to do? I have no doubt that your answer to that question will be, Becky, we will do whatever it takes, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. If we were gathered together in a same space, I know I would hear a thunderous reply. We will do whatever it takes. Because here's what I know about you, NEA. You won't be satisfied with only imagining the possibilities. You won't rest until they become a reality. You will continue to demand nothing less of our system, of our country, of our union, of yourselves. I've seen it in your eyes. I've witnessed it in your work. I've heard it in your voices. At your very core, you believe the words that serve as a preamble to lay the foundation of our NEA mission. We, the members of the National Education Association of the United States of America, are the voice of education professionals. Our work is fundamental to this nation, and we accept the profound trust that has been placed in us, because you see, we are the NEA. Do you hear me? We are the NEA. We stand in the gap for our students and we lift them up. We show up on the front lines, organizing and rallying, rising up and resisting. We will make sure our kids have what they need and what they deserve, while demanding that this country live up to its promise to them, using what we know now about the science of learning and development. We will design an equitable learning and assessment system that sees our students as whole humans, all of them in the fullness of their glory and beauty, their talent and creativity, their resilience and their complexity, in all of their magnificence. We will fight for our rights as professionals, demanding the respect and the authority that reflects our deep knowledge of our professions, our commitment to continuous learning and professional excellence. With fierce passion and resolve, we will rise from this chaos and the challenge of a pandemic that threatened to diminish and destroy us with renewed strength and unwavering determination. We will lead through this attack on truth and democracy. We will fight for honesty in education. With persistence and perseverance, we will lead the transformation of public education, of teaching and learning, of our noble professions. NEA, we are not waiting for anyone to rescue us. We've got this. We've got this. We've got this. We will never allow any darkness to dim our light. We will stand together in our passion and our purpose. We will stand in our power. Imagine what's possible. And then we, NEA, will make it so. Onward, NEA.